This is an extraordinarily powerful and relevant film. Tell us a little bit about how you came to it. I know that you have teenagers yourselves, so it seems like it would be kind of a familiar access point for you in a lot of ways. But tell me specifically about how you came to create this project.
Yeah, Bonni and I are parents. We have teenagers. We have a 13-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. I think we were having the classic midlife moment of realizing that our kids are growing up in such a different place, in such a different way than we grew up. Bonni and I were teenagers in...
Careful.
I think they call that the 80s.
The 80s were fun.
The 1980s. There's all those kind of things swirling around in our lives, and we had been talking to an organization that we know in San Francisco that had been doing some work in schools about kind of working with coaches and teachers to help model healthy relationships. And we started thinking about, well, what happens in the worst, possible nightmare scenarios? And we started researching these stories that you see in the film, which is unfortunately all too common, where girls get assaulted by people that they think are their friends. And then to make matters much worse, the pictures and videos kind of get out there and really just, wreak havoc on the lives of these young people who have a really hard time seeing beyond, their perspective. And so it led to the story of Audrie and Daisy, which eventually came to kind of be two parts of the same story in our mind. And so we started thinking about the structure of the film sort of as sort of Daisy finishing Audrey's story in a way.
So that wasn't something that was something that kind of developed just out of finding the stories themselves, that they sort of seemed like two pieces of one?
Yeah, I mean, the structure is kind of unusual. And what we were committed to was not creating kind of a survey of the issue. We didn't want to have loads of stories. We really wanted to delve deep into individual stories, into communities. So much of these stories are about the communities, about the families, and then the schools, and then the larger communities and how they react. And so it was really important to us to find really intimate stories to tell. And in the research, it's all these kind of eerie connections started to happen between Audrey and Daisy. Their assaults were 8 months apart. They were the same age. They were across the country from each other, but sort of similar circumstances. And we thought, wouldn't it be a way to sort of poetically tell the larger whole by having these two girls speak for the larger community? So we started to go with that, and it, started to refine the structure. And while it is unusual, we kind of wrap Audrey's story around Daisy, and hopefully it feels sort of like a single whole.